you are stacking cash at this stage. I got this thing cooking with gas. The systems are working. There's only one downside to this stage, and that's that you start to think you're as cool as some of the other people think you are, and you forget to iterate. You've got only three choices. Cause the disruption, ride the wave of the disruption, or get crushed by it. Not playing in the game is not an option. If you stand in the middle of the interstate, you will get hit by a truck.
Right.
You need to be moving.
No matter how big you are.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. Well, top of the morning to you, and welcome to It's a Good Life. I'm your host, Brian Buffini, and today I have the GOAT, the man himself. He is the role model, he's the mentor, and he's glad to call him my friend, Mr. Dave Ramsey. We are honored to have you on the program today.
Good to be back on, man. It's been too long.
It has been. And, I'm excited. A couple years ago, I got the great privilege of being at the Entre Leadership event. And for a guy, I put on 2,500 events in my career. That sucker was like nothing I'd ever seen. And it's a spectacular event. And for anybody who has never been to it, I highly recommend checking that out. And I had the time of my life being there and speaking to the crowd.
You're one of the highest rated speakers we ever had. It was incredible. There were some big dogs on that porch, and you wagged it, man.
The Irish, we got a little bite inside there. We like a fight. We don't have the name, but we have the fame. We have the claim. So you wrote a new book here, and I'm delighted to see this book. And we've talked baby steps, and I've sold I don't know how many copies of Total Money Makeover, and you're still out here helping people doing the stuff to get their finances in order. But many people don't know that Ramsey has been for quite some years now in the building other people's businesses business and doing a heck of a job of it. I had a chance to do the devotions for the team this morning. 1,000 fabulous employees and a whole bunch of the coaches and people who come up to me to talk to me. And I'm excited that you wrote this book. It's Build a Business You Love. And I think it's fantastic. And one of the things I wish people could see is like this little campus I just took a tour over. And, I'm in the coaching business 30 years, and we've built a pretty successful company. And then you come here and you go, man, I need to set higher goals. And I just, I need to meet somebody. But, what you've built is incredible. And people know you as this personality, and people know you as this great character, and you're a man full of wisdom, and the finance stuff is amazing. But I don't know that most people know exactly how great a businessman you are, and also how you found a way to transfer that wisdom to other people. And so I think it's great. Entre Leadership and the Entre Leadership coaching and all that stuff is obviously there as a program, but I'm glad you did a book on it.
Well, thank you.
So I'd love you to talk a little bit about building a business you love and what actually led you to write the book.
We've been, as you said, we've been coaching small businesses, probably about 10,000 of them now. For almost 20 years. And we grew Ramsey from a card table in my living room to where it is today. And so through that time, one of the things we figured out with the book Total Money Makeover was that you can give people something hard to do as long as you give them a clear path to do it. They'll fight it. They'll go do it. Yeah. They don't mind climbing a hill. Yeah. As long as when they get there, there's a victory.
Right.
There's a rocky dance
plant
on top.
The flag,
right. Yeah. You got to plant the flag when you get up there. And so I don't mind something difficult as long as it's going to be worth it. As long as it's going to pay off. And so a clear path through anything that's formerly unknown gives people hope and energy, and keeps them from getting paralysis of the analysis, keeps them from setting down. And so we've been working with that with small businesses for a long time. We go, okay, what is the clear path? And we finally developed it, and we call it the Entre Leadership System, and we've been implementing it for several years now, and we thought, okay, we need to write this down, put it into a book, and that's what this book is. It's the Entre Leadership System, Mastering the 5 Stages of Business.
And they are 5 stages. It's kind of interesting. When I first heard about the 5 stages at Entre Leadership, and I'm going, geez, that's every client I have. That's the journey I've been on myself with all the business. I've owned 47 businesses, and it's like it is absolutely the case in every one of them. You don't get to sometimes all 5 stages in business, but it's absolutely essential. I love to just kind of let's dive in, because the goal would be for we have 400,000 entrepreneurs listening in on this. And they're all at different stages of this. And it'd be great for them to see themselves in one of the stages and then know, okay, here's where I'm at. And then here's the next level to go to. Everybody says, oh, get to the next level. What is that?
Yeah, what is it? And what do you do to level up?
Right.
And that is the question we wanted to answer. That's exactly right. It starts with, we all start with this. And we kind of grin when we think about it, the treadmill operator stage. And that's real exciting because you think you're so smart. You're starting something. You're full of energy. You're going, and you just don't know what you don't know yet.
Right.
But there's a lot of dream happening, and this thing's being birthed. It's a new baby, and all the wonderful things.
It's like a first date.
Yeah, everything. It's all fun until it's not.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stay in the treadmill operator stage because it's not sustainable, because you're the only source of revenue. You're doing all the revenue. You're doing all the production. So no widgets are getting made, no clients are getting served unless you do it, and no revenue happens. So you take a vacation or you get sick, you're just unemployed.
Right.
And real estate business, I remember being a real estate agent. We said, hey, every morning you're unemployed.
Right.
You got to go do something. And so as an agent, by yourself, without a team, without any kind of systems or anything. And so you've got to have something that keeps that from happening because it's not sustainable. I remember at this stage, I'd come home and flop on the couch, and Sharon would go, what'd you do today? And I said, I have no idea, but I did a lot of it. I'm just worn smack dab out, right? And so here we lay. And so the way you get out of this stage, the way you level up, and you've got to, is time. You start to time manage well, start to do time blocking to where you're setting aside time to work on your business, not just in your business. Yeah. Our friend Berger, who wrote the book E-Myth, right? Learn to work on the business, not just in the business. And this is where you start hiring your first people. That you can delegate some of the revenue production and some of the production of the widget, some of the production of the good or service to other people. So it's not all dependent on you. Actually, at this stage, you may not actually own a business. You may just own your own job.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do. It's funny. My wife, she was the daughter of a man in the Air Force. So Jim Robinson, my late father-in-law, he was a Master Chief in the Air Force, right? Mm-hmm. He went to work at the same time every day. He wore the same clothes to work every day. He came home and ate dinner at the same time every day. They went on vacation on the same time every year and went to the same place. She marries a real estate guy. And the question is, when are you coming home? I don't know. When are you getting paid? I'm not sure. And so for the 10 years of my real estate career, she never called it a commission. She goes, when's your paycheck?
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, I don't get a paycheck. And I just think there's a radical difference between having a job and having a business in your mind. And a lot of people, they love the idea. They want to burn their corporate bra. I'm okay. I'm free. No one's the boss of me. But they bring the job mentality to their business. And like you said, they're on this treadmill because they really have a job that they own a business. So it has responsibilities and liabilities. It doesn't have the guarantee of the every 2-week paycheck. You've got to get to that next stage.
It's really not sustainable because you work so stinking hard.
Right.
I mean, it's 16-hour days.
Yeah.
I mean, you just work, and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere.
Right.
That's why we called it the treadmill. You just feel like you're stuck like a rat in a wheel. So when you do level up with the time management and with some good hires, and you do some of those things, then that takes you to the Pathfinder stage. And the Pathfinder stage is pretty easy. You got 10 people, you got 5 people, you got whatever it is, and everybody's running real hard, but they're running in 17 directions. We're doing a lot. Again, we're still a lot of chaos in the room. There's a lot more going on. You scaled a little. There's some things happening that weren't happening before. It's exciting also. It's fun. But this is where you really got to start to say, okay, what is the direction? Let's get these ducks in a row instead of trying to herd cats. I mean, this is when you feel like you're trying to nail Jello to a tree. You got to get some things organized here. You got to get your team engaged in a shared direction, and so you start laying in place some stuff like a mission statement, some stuff like some core values. You increase the quality of communication between everybody, so the ducks get in a row. We got to get the ducks in a row. We have to get aligned. We have to be. This is the way we're going. We're not going that way. We're not going that way. Right. This is the way we're going, and this is what we're concentrating on. This is what we're focusing on. And by definition, means we're not doing all this other stuff. Right. And so that. You have to bring everybody into focus. When you do that, you move up to Trailblazer. Yeah, a Trailblazer is.
I'll throw this for a sec, Dave, because I have a huge amount of people who are in this, 4 to 5 employees.
Yeah,
and I will say this: I led a real estate team of 5, and it was harder to lead than when I had 400 employees.
Yeah,
and if you were to give someone one tip on, because you have provided this path, what is it that you got your mission statement, you got your vision. Standard operating procedures. I mean, what are the things, what would you say was, when you were growing it, was the one thing that, set up to get to that Trailblazers stage? What would you say it is?
Well, it's not number of employees.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not easier to run 400 than it is 5. It's actually harder, but what you had learned by the time you got there is what made it easier. That's what made it easier.
Yeah, I was a good salesman,
By then, you were a good leader.
Yeah,
though.
and I was a lousy leader when I had 5. I had no clue.
And so you can be all the way through the stages with only 5.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So, but the trick is to get everybody, again, aligned. And the way we did that was we just became fanatics about communication. We have Monday morning staff meeting. To this day, we have Monday morning staff meeting. It's mandatory. You cannot be sitting down here in the building while we're all up in the Ramsey Event Center doing staff meeting, because we announce what's happening with the different areas.
Right.
We celebrate together. We cry together about bad things that have happened. We talk about profits. We talk about losses. We talk about everything up there. This is where you learn everything that's going on inside the company, and it's 1 hour, and it's mandatory every Monday morning. Communication, communication, communication. We implemented weekly reports. We implemented one-on-one meetings with your leader. We implemented all these things where communication is flowing, because what usually happens when you move up to that second stage there is, again, we just turn loose 5 or 10 people doing what we were doing when it was just one of us.
Exactly.
And they're running off like 16 different directions. And no wonder there's conflict. No wonder there's not alignment. And you really have to, the rope that pulls them all together and points them at something, instead of ready, fire, aim, ready, aim, fire, is communication. And that's the key thing. And then you start to communicate, okay, here's your key results areas. Here's your core values. Here's your mission. Here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. And you tell people something 21 times, they finally hear it.
Right. It's like raising kids, right?
Exactly. And you know, this is what we do in the Buffini household. This is what if you're a Ramsey, by God, this is how you act.
Right.
You know, and this is how you raised your kids too. I know. I've watched. And so, you know, you're not going to bring shame to, this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is who we are. And when you're not doing that, you're not aligned. You're out of thing. And then that does move you to the messy middle, which is the Trailblazer. And the Trailblazer, of course, is, there's a lot of chaos. You're making a lot more money at that stage than you've ever made in your life. Money's flying around, but there's no systems or processes. And we entrepreneurs, we hate things like, I'm going to put a system in place. We're going to have a policy. Oh God, I don't want any policies. No, I don't. This sounds like corporate America.
Right.
I don't want a bunch of bureaucrats. No. And don't make me adhere to some kind of a governance thing or some. No, Lord, no. But so we resist it, those of us that are good entrepreneurs. But you've got to have an accounting system that works. Hello? I mean, I had 27 spreadsheets tied together, and we called it accounting. You know, it was nuts, and we had stacks of paper. We were killing trees on everything we were doing. You know, there's entire forests were going away because we didn't have good systems, and it was stuff that technology should have been doing. But we were just getting it done, and didn't stop to go, we really need to work smarter instead of so dadgum hard.
Right.
And so systems and processes really help you big time. And you also, this is the stage you really put your first level of, maybe even your second level of leadership in. You're not the only leader in the group.
Right.
And again, you can have 5, but you need at least another leader in the group. You can have 10, you need at least 2 more leaders in the group. Generally speaking, most good management things tell us not to have more than about a 1 to 5, maximum of 7 reporting structure. If you got more than 7 people reporting to you, you're screwed up.
And I've made that mistake.
Me too.
I've made that mistake. I mean,
everybody was reporting to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was the boss.
And then I had 4 people where, they might have had 25 or 30 or 40 direct reports. And again, you're sorting through the spaghetti every day.
Yeah. And the good news is you're making enough money to buy the software to fix it and put in a system. And then you just have to keep in mind that you tell the system what to do, and then the system tells all of us how we're going to act, so that we stay aligned and so that we get this. We're not burning so many calories just to make the same money. I remember for us,
we had in the space of like 3 months, when your IT guy comes to you and goes, and 90% of our work is done on the phone, and they go, we're reaching what's called end of life for our system. And I go, end of life? What does that mean? It means we're going to come in here in about 3 weeks. This thing's not going to work. And then it's like, okay, what would happen? There had been big fires. I'd lost my home in 2007. And so we need to prepare for Buffco if there's a fire. So we put all this money, time, and effort. And I'll be honest, as an entrepreneur, I hated it because it was slow. It was a pain. They promised one price. It was triple, and all that stuff. And then COVID happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I could, in one day, I sent all my employees home and everybody was working the next day because we had the systems.
Because you'd laid the foundation.
And so it doesn't seem as sexy. It's not as exciting as that entrepreneurial, the card table, all that stuff. But it delivers a promise.
I remember the first time we were sitting with one of our tech teams, and they taught me this phrase called technical debt.
Yep.
And it's the old line of code that we wrote 5 years ago that we've been building on, and it's going to collapse.
Yeah.
We're building a house of cards and code, and so we've got to go back and not only write the new thing, but we've got to rewrite the old for the new thing to sit on.
Yeah.
That just pissed me off.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Let's just do the
I'm
new.
Dave Ramsey. I can't be in debt.
I just want to do the new thing. I don't want to do the old thing. I don't want to go back and redo stuff we've already done. That work, but yeah, all it is that you constantly have to work those systems, and then it does prepare you for the storm.
Right.
But it also prepares you for prosperity, because prosperity will crash you too. You get too much weight of that stuff, you can't carry it.
Yeah.
And the whole system starts to tremble just because you load the truck so stinking full.
Right. I have learned to live in abundance, and I have learnred to live in scarcity.
There we go. What Paul said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
when you do that, when you get the systems in place.
So you're scaling at the trailblazing phase. That's really, you're scaling your business, and you're prepared to scale it.
Exactly. And you put those leaders in place. And so you get some leadership levels that you've never had before, some quality of leaders that can finish your sentences. When you're not there, they're going to lead exactly like you would have led, with the same level of excellence, the same level of urgency, the same level of, let's surprise and delight the customer, whatever it is you're trying to drive through the system.
Here's a question I have. Okay, so I know your background, I know where you're from. And the hillbilly version of the Irish immigrant is many ways.
The brothers from another mother.
Brother from another, no doubt. But the dynamic I've always seen with you, in every conversation we've ever had personally, you always think in terms of scale and how do I scale? And where did that come from? Where did that mindset come from? Because that's not a class you took in high school, in college, and whatever else. You were grinding it out like everybody else. Where did that come from? Because you have that thought all the time. It's a brilliant thought. Not every entrepreneur has it.
Well, thank you. I guess it comes from two things. One is that this is helping people with the things that we teach.
Yeah.
Helping them, give the tools to change their lives.
Yeah.
Transform their lives is a call.
Yeah.
It's a calling. And so you don't want to ever do a calling small.
Yeah.
That needs to be big.
One log makes a lousy fire.
And exactly. And, the first product line we ever went into, of course, and that we're best known for, is getting people out of debt, right? It's not exactly a small market.
Yeah, right.
I mean, me and Jenny Craig got a big job. I mean, it's like everybody walking is a potential client,
right.
So it's, my gosh. So, yeah, it's as an entrepreneur, I look at the size of the market, and I'm going, yeah. If I don't go get that, somebody else is going to get it, and that'll be a call to competitor. No, thank you.
It was a privilege to do the devotions for your team today. And one of the things my goal was going there today was to remind them, you no matter what you do, you might be in IT, you might be in admin, you might be in shipping, your company changes people's lives, and you need to know you're part of that. And all these stories and all these, stories that people have, whether it's on the business side, whether it's on the debt side, I just wanted to grip those people and go, look, don't forget what you're doing. Yeah. Don't forget what you're doing. Like, you guys, your hands are on the plow, your fingerprints are part of an impact. And, you've been doing this a long time, and you've changed a lot of people's lives, and including mine, by the way. And
thank you for reminding the team of that. They hear it a lot, but it's always good when they hear it from somebody outside that's even smarter.
And well, an expert's a guy with a briefcase 50 miles from home. So today I fit the bill.
Today you qualify.
Okay, I like stage 4 the best. It's where everybody wants to get to heaven. No one wants to die to get there. I love stage 4. Maybe you can talk about after we've trailblazed and got our systems and scaled, what happens then?
Stage 4 is the most fun. You nailed it. That's the one you want to get to, and it's okay to live there for a long time. You don't have to quit being stage 4 ever, as far as I'm concerned. It's the peak performer stage, and that's when everything's working.
Yeah.
You feel like you got the Midas touch. You've got the products dialed in. You are stacking cash at this stage. I mean, you're making some money, and it's like, I am not nearly as smart as I look right now.
Exactly.
But this is cooking. I got this thing cooking with gas. The systems are working. The leaders are leading. The team knows what's going on. Everybody's aligned. There's good communications. There's core values. We're aligned to those. Everybody knows what their job is, and they're getting it, by God, done. And it's serving the customer. The customers are happy. They're kind of impressed with how good you are. And really, there's only one downside to this stage, and that's that you start to think you're as cool as some some of the other people think you are, and you forget to break it before it's broken, and you forget to iterate, and occasionally just shock the monkey. You know, just let's do a little turnover here, a little fruit basket turnover. Let's just move some stuff around. Let's not get resting on our laurels, as they say. You know, you can't believe your own press clippings at this stage. And Jim Collins, my friend, you know, in How the Mighty Fall, he talks about this as hubris.
Right.
You can get to hubris. That's the only downside, because everything's working.
Well, I just went through this, Dave. I mean, you know, in 2008, you know, we're the largest real estate coaching company in the world. So we're very exposed. We're in one niche. And the whole real estate market falls apart. And I have one product line. I did events and I had coaching. And so you know, there were 27 competing companies for us at that time. And within 2 years, there was us and one other. Mm-hmm. And I said, a recession is a terrible thing to waste. So we diversified product lines. We came up with all this innovation, right, as most great things come in tough times. And we built a totally different, diverse company. 2002, we've had the most artificial run-up in real estate you can imagine for 11 years. Prices only went up. People believed prices only went up. And I started asking questions around the organization. We had record highs in everything, record highs in retention, record highs in sales. And I started asking all these hard questions. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened to me as the leader of my own company. I put great bonus programs in place. Everybody's making money. Everybody's setting records. Everybody's fat and happy. And I started asking these hard questions. And it was the first time ever in 7 years of business, they didn't seem to believe me. They're like, he's hard to please. He's still driving us. He's challenging us. Like, this guy's not, why is he not happy with our record years? And I said a Warren Buffett quote. I go, you know, nobody knows who's swimming naked until the tide goes out.
Right.
And I go, we're going to see butt cheeks around the place unless we do it. And I finally got to the point, I got through part of it. I think some of them thought I was bored. Things were, oh no, things are going too smoothly, he needs to mess with it. And I got some of the things changed, but I didn't get all of the things changed. And it wasn't until my workforce experienced, like, we're getting our butts kicked right now because, guess what? We've had more customers than we knew what to do, and now we're not great at bringing in new customers.
Right.
Okay, we're the greatest thing in the world for retention, but people are like, hey, things been great, I'm debt-free, my life is good, I've been making money, and I'm going to retire, and we got no way to replace you. If you were coaching me up right now, because I was in this peak performer stage. We'd grown. We'd had record growth for 10 years. How could I have done that better? How would you advise me to go and challenge the team? How have you challenged your team to not get that level of, to get stuck on that?
If we don't continue to change, I mean, there's market disruptions are coming.
Yeah.
100%. There's 100% probability the market's going to be disrupted.
Right.
So you've got only three choices. Cause the disruption. Ride the wave of the disruption, or get crushed by it.
Yeah.
These are your only chances.
Right.
And so, we need to be causing it in some areas, and we need to be catching the wave in the other areas. Right. We don't need to be crushed because we didn't think it was coming, because it's coming.
Yeah.
And, we just keep telling everybody, it's like, you're a prophet of doom. No, I'm a realist. I'm old. I've seen this come and go a lot.
Exactly.
It happens, man. And so you are either going to get crushed by it, you're going to ride it, or you're going to cause it. Yeah. So decide.
Yeah.
Just decide. Because not playing in the game is not an option. Right. And putting your hands over your ears and going, la, 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 la. Yeah. And there's no bears, there's no bears. There's bears. They're coming. The bears will eat you. So, you got to get ready, and you got to constantly break things, because as soon as you think you've got this one technology mastered, some little guy in his garage is inventing a better technology, and you better decide if you're going to use that, how you're going to use that, or if it's going to use you up. Yeah. Because your competitor is going to go past you at 100 miles an hour using it.
I spoke.
So we just talk about it. I just live in this constant state of healthy fear. Not healthy anxiety, not unhealthy, not toxic level, but just this constant realism that if you stand in the middle of the interstate, you will get hit by a truck.
Right.
You need to be moving.
No matter how big you are.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. I was telling some of these stories this morning, like, IBM had the rights to Microsoft.
Yeah.
But they were too big, and they go, who's ever going to have a personal computer in their home?
Yeah.
And they let that go for $50,000. Yeah. And 10 years later, they were on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yep.
And had to totally reinvent themselves and become a consulting organization. So I think, the truth of the matter is why coaching matters. Mm-hmm. I think why EntreLeadership is such a valuable resource to people, not just the event, but then everything that comes behind it, is the truth of the matter is change is coming.
Yeah.
And change is hard, and we all need bloody help. And, so it's powerful stuff. And I'm sitting here, and I'm the guy people come to looking for answers, and I'm telling them, I got it half right on this one, and now I've had to work hard, and now we're good now. But it was a challenge. We had, real estate, it's been the lowest, last 2 years have been the lowest sales since 1993, when we had 80 million less people in the country.
Yeah.
And that's just the people we know of.
Yeah.
So it's been a hard ride. You got to prepare for that. There will be disruption.
The good news is that when that market comes back like a bandit, and it will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to come back roaring back. If you've got the systems in place and you've built your strength, your organizational strength, you're ready to load the cash.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be heavy.
Nice.
There's going to be a lot of it.
Back up the Brinks truck. I'm looking forward to that again. My daughter rides horses, so I need that. Last but not least, you're living this right now. I'm watching you do this from afar. And the fifth stage is the legacy stage. And I'm watching you build this company, this organization, your team. So there's probably no one more qualified to do this right now because you seem to be extremely intentional about it. Talk about the legacy phase. And again, it's an aspirational thing for most of the people listening. But you're really doing it great from what I see from a distance. And
thank you.
Love you to talk about this.
As we all know, nothing is as smooth as it looks from the outside.
Right.
But we have. I mean, I'm proud of us on this, and it's a strain. But legacy stage, we started working on succession planning 16 years ago.
Jeez.
I was 48. I'm 64, and we started saying, okay, what's this going to look like for the next generation of owners have to be trained. And have to be wise. The next generation of Ramseys coming in because they're going to be the owners. And, what's the leadership look like to be able to hand it off? What the quality of the leadership team. And the leadership team has to be thinking about not only replacing themselves with bench depth, constantly looking at their own bench depth, but also looking at how this organization shifts over time as we do this. And our third one was really challenging, and it's true with you guys as well, is the brand transfer. How do you transfer a brand when you are the brand? Yeah. And we started asking that question 16 years ago. We've come up with some good ideas, and we've had some false starts. We had some stupid stuff we did along the way, and got some bruises and learned how not to do it. But we've now landed with some solid Ramsey personalities, and they do the radio show. They do the podcast when I'm not here. We don't run best ofs. There's always two of us in the building, and two of us can sit down and do the show. And when I'm in town, I do it 4 days a week. I don't work Fridays anymore because I'm old. But and I'm going to goof off and play golf and other stuff and run around with my wife and that kind of stuff, but play with the grandbabies. But other days I'm here and doing this kind of thing and then doing the show itself. And I still love it. I still enjoy it, but that doesn't mean I need to be the only one.
Right.
And so the legacy stage is you better plan for succession because it's coming.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like disruption. You don't get an option. Nobody gets out of this thing alive.
Right.
So, and too many small business people grab their chest with a heart attack, fall back into the grave, and as they're falling back, toss the keys out.
Yeah.
And that's their succession plan.
So true.
And it's it very seldom does that work. The more gradual it is, the better it is, because you can work the kinks out as you go along.
Yeah.
And you can build up and disciple the next gen that's coming in for whatever it is, whether it's leaders or owners or personalities in my case that are carrying those loads. And we've worked really, really hard on that. And just go ahead and be warning to all of you out there that are first generation to second generation. I will tell you it's very emotional for the person that built it. I know with my intellect that this is what has to happen. I know that God owns this business. I don't own it. And a good manager would arrange bench depth. A good leader, a good steward would arrange bench depth. But so I planned to be less important. And the problem is it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got your blood, sweat, and tears in every building here. Yeah. You've had your heart and soul into it. I went into your theater this morning.
Wow.
And, I call it the Death Star. And
the Life Star.
But I knew, I walked in there and I went, oh yeah, a presenter built this.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's, that's, I come from that place and how I run my company. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a presenter's dream, and an audience's dream.
The sound and the AV, there's not a bad seat in the house, and it's a lot of
and
detail.
It's a short commute too,
you're
right?
That's
and no hotel
right
food coming with that.
Right up the hill and do it. But
two
that's
questions.
Go ahead.
Two questions. Because the first question you're not going to like because you don't like actually talking about yourself for a guy who's so public. I would like to hear from you. What do you want your legacy to be, and what do you want Ramsey's legacy to be?
My legacy is that I was always getting out of the way and letting somebody else be the hero as far as business stuff goes. Obviously, my legacy needs to be a Christ follower and a great dad and even a better granddad. I mean, our old friend Zig Ziglar used to say, if I'd have known how great grandkids were going to be, I'd have been nicer to their parents.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and I got 8 of them, and life is good. So that's the real legacy.
Yeah.
Nobody will remember a building with a digital screen or anything else. That's not really, 50 years from now, that'll be old school, and will somebody be pushing it down, So, but where it really works is when it's in people.
Yeah.
And so the legacy on the business side is that guy's marriage was saved, his family tree was changed. This business owner was able to scale because he got information from me and people like you that caused him to be the hero in his story, as our friend Donald Miller says, and lift those things up. And so that's those of us that have done things like you and me, we learn pretty quickly that the biggest joy is in serving. That sounds very, Pollyanna or very sweet or whatever, and that's not true. Yeah. It is true. Yeah. It actually is. It's a bit selfish in a way because you get it's more fun to run into somebody that goes 22 years old, and I run into them, they go, "Dave, you changed my life."
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, you changed your life, but I showed you how, and thank you for that. That's very nice. Right. And that's more fun than just extracting cash from the marketplace.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this. I've been debt-free for 30 years. Okay?
I know.
And I've been living the good life for a long time. I've been waiting for you to write this book for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And I found it extremely helpful. And I thought, I've been on leadership. I listen to you all the time. And I thought I know the 5 stages pretty well. I could teach this. And but I was really glad you wrote this book. And for those of us that own a small business and a whole bunch of people who aspire to own a business.
Absolutely.
It's a great blueprint. And it's built out of something that the world is lacking, which is wisdom. We got a ton of information. We got a ton of influencers that never built a doggone thing. And, you and I have the scars to match. You've been down this path a long time. And I'm, who you are as a man, who you are as a husband. Man, you married a rock star. That Miss Sharon is special. You got great kids. I know all your kids. And I've only met a couple of your grandkids. But on that side of the ledger, which is the side of the ledger that I appreciate this most, you being who you are as God's man has flowed into that family. And then to come and see your business over the years, come back and see the people. And like today, what my big impression was, I love the facility. I'll say this, the spirit of the people is really good.
You can feel God's spirit in the room.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So congratulations
and
blessing.
Brother.
The book is called Build a Business You Love. And it seems like you've done that, my friend. And it seems like you built a bunch of people around here who seem to love their business too.
Thank you, brother.
So thank you so much.
Honored to call you friend.
Yeah, likewise. Well, for many of you know that for all of these years, my mom always finished the show with the Irish blessing, and we decided just to retire it here very recently as Mom went to go be with the Lord. And the Irish know how to celebrate a passing. The word wake is actually a Gaelic word, and they say there's more fun at an Irish funeral than there is at an English wedding, and that was true in the case with my mom. We sent her off in style. And so for all the millions of people who've downloaded this show, you always heard my mother do the podcast salute at the end. I'm going to do it today. And I'm going to do it from this point going forward. So if you'll accept the second-rate version, here it is. May the roads rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the rain fall soft upon your fields and the sun shine warm upon your face. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand.